and welcome to Do the Right Thing, your weekly writing prompts podcast. I'm Alexandra.
And I'm Jarvis.
Jarvis and I were aspiring writers with one simple problem shared by many other aspiring writers. We never actually took the time to sit down and write.
Yeah, so to solve this issue, we issue a challenge. Each week you sit down and write a complete short story using 3 or 4 randomly generated words.
Then we come on the podcast, we read a story, we talk about what we learned in reading it, and then we talk about the rest of the stories submitted by you wonderful people who do write and also listen to the podcast.
Yes, 100%. We're simply here to help you do the right thing.
A Doof Media Happy
production.
Halloween. Happy Halloween. It's Halloween. Tomorrow's
Yes.
Halloween. Or the day this comes out is Halloween, actually.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
Fantastic.
That's cool. Yeah.
Honestly, Halloween is definitely one of my favorite holidays. Not because of the whole dressing up thing, because I do enjoy dressing up. I've never had the money to properly dress up. Also, I've always wanted to dress up as some sort of anime characters, where there's a extremely limited pool of black anime characters.
Yeah, that's fair.
that aren't tall, buff, and bald.
Limit you.
No, it doesn't. But like,
just doing AU.
Like a long time ago, back in high school, I tried dressing up as a Edward from Full Metal. And I mean, my costume was okay. You know, I wasn't like, I think if someone's seen the show, they would get it. But at the same time, it was like, why is he wearing gray paper all over his arm?
Oh no.
But there were plenty of like my quote unquote friends during the time that said, Aaron's white, right?
That's fucked up.
What? He's not even white. Well, I guess technically he's probably like European, but
well, no, I don't think Europe exists in that, does it? It's a fictional.
It is
like,
fictional,
land.
but I guess since he's
fucking...
a blonde hair boar with blue eyes.
That's so shit.
Yeah,
that's so shit.
But yeah. So I guess I can only be black character now.
No, you're just gonna be the guy from Full Metal Alchemist in blackface. It's him, the character. He is the one that's in blackface.
Doing blackface. Yeah, just like Justin Trudeau.
Exactly. I mean, you could do the Tony Stark guy, Robert Downey Jr. That's his name.
Talking about War Machine.
No, I'm talking about Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yes.
When his character does blackface.
Which, by the way, this is a small tangent, right? But I know that, like, when that movie came out, it was hilarious, and it still is funny. Yeah. But I would say, like 5 to 6 years after that movie dropped, Twitter started screaming about how Robert Downey Jr. was doing blackface, and they were, demonizing it. Which I feel like none of them have seen the actual movie. Yeah. Because he's him doing blackface.
It's not okay in the movie.
Yeah. It's on purpose.
Yeah.
And they do some really good commentary.
They introduce his character with famous actor has been under a lot of controversy for doing blackface in this movie or whatever. I know, it's pretty ironic.
It's extremely ironic, but yeah, that just proves to me that Twitter likes to talk about things, but they don't want to read it or watch it.
Yeah, no, of course not. Gotta get those
that takes too much time.
likes.
Yeah,
likey likes. Anyway, today's Halloween, and I want to have a little PSA. If you're listening to this the morning of, the morning of Sunday of Halloween,
or the morning after,
and you're considering doing blackface for your costume, just don't do that. I think you probably already know that, but just in case, just personally, as a favor to me, don't do that.
Yeah.
Because it would be awkward. But that said, tell us if you didn't do blackface because of this podcast, because I would love to have that credit.
Yeah. So. Granted, I mean, there has been a long history of people in Greek life doing blackface. Mm-hmm. Very long history. Even I think that happened at UNT a couple of them years back.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So as a person who has a permanent blackface, I would ask you. I would plead
Fucking
for
nice
you.
One, Jarvis.
That
Nice one.
please don't do blackface. It's not cute. And your hair is ugly. Don't do blackface.
I agree. Just it's a total tangent. And we will get into the episode momentarily. But I got a new real job, right? And I did mention on my resume and stuff that I have a podcast, right? Because it was relevant, right? It's
yes.
It's a hobby I've been doing for multiple years. I have a lot of content from it. And one of them did express, one of my coworkers, who's a woman that's 45. Oh God, maybe I should cut that because I'm about to she was expressed interest and might listen, and I don't want her to listen because this is not work appropriate material.
I mean, we don't say awful stuff.
No, but I mean, one, I open with I'm non-binary. I'm saying I'm Alexandra. That's what Alex is short for.
Yeah.
Sarah. And then just I don't know. It makes me nervous. I don't know. Maybe I should set it to private. You can only listen to this podcast if you already listened to it before. Maybe you got to DM me for a download. Viewers. Yeah, I don't want to lose my job for a download number. I mean, I wouldn't. True. It wouldn't be that bad. I just, I don't want little rumors to spread. So, awkward stuff.
Yeah. Also, I highly doubt they're gonna watch this.
I hope not.
And then they're even if they did, I doubt that they're gonna watch it and then tell their boss and be like, "Hey, did you listen to what Alex said?" And then, there's. I don't think you can be crucified for stuff that you do outside of work, right? For the most part, beyond if you posted a picture of you free basing it in a ditch or something.
Look, if they saw my Twitter, that would definitely be grounds.
That's true. Your horny Twitter.
But I mean, the point that is that if it's not connected at all to the company, it's fine.
Yeah.
Although it's funny because it's someone if someone wanted to research me and detective search about me, they would find my Twitter eventually. It's not hidden, right? You just find the podcast, and then I'm sure I've linked it somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you could cancel me. So listener, I've given you all the power to destroy my life, except you don't know what company I work for, so that's good. But
don't worry,
that's temporary.
Don't worry,
they'll find it. All right, let's do the podcast. What is the story that we're covering this week, and what were the words that people wrote stories to?
The words for this week were insist, visible, stall, and rose. Really good words. And the story we will be talking about this week is by NoGoodBi. With Cycle.
So actually I just wanted to mention that the day after last episode released, or the day it released, I did do a stream where I streamed me writing a story, but I got about halfway through and then I restarted a couple times and I didn't quite do enough to pull it together, and I was going to do it, and then I partied a bit because it's Halloween, and then I ran out of time, so I apologize. I think that I will be able to polish it up for next week, though, which I'm excited about because it was a kind of a cool idea, and people in the chat stream helped me out with it and stuff. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Usually I announce them about a day in advance, or at least the morning of when I'm going to do a little writing stream. So if you want, just get on Discord and check it every now and then and see if I've scheduled one of those, because it's fun to talk while I'm writing and figure out what I'm doing and stuff.
Say let's write.
Yeah, let's write. Okay, let's read NoGoodBi's Cycle.
Nice.
It's interesting. I look down at those people down in the craters, and I can no longer feel kinship with them. That's what maturity does to you, I've been told. Despite that, I still disagree with many of my peers who consider them nothing more than leeches and road bumps that stalled our path to greater unity. They are a sight that brings grief, their conditions harrowing and their cause a lost one, but their existence is a necessity. It's all part of the cycle. You work in the mines, live in the slums, and you are unfulfilled. Those weaker than you will fall to famine or overwork, but you strive for better conditions. Eventually, an opportunity for that comes, and you enter the next stage of battle. You'll be one of tens who succeed over the hundreds, earning a spot as an arm in the Valiants. With time, effort, and at least a little bit of charisma, you work your way through the ranks, gain more and more influence, and only then will you finally earn a voice that the world can hear. That truth has always been visible for me, but it took years for me to accept. Looking up from the heap that was my home, I could see the Valiant's exosphere suspended far above like a second moon, casting a shadow over daytime. I resented it, like most other residents of the crater, but that didn't stop me from appreciating the shade it brought when our sun was at its peak during midday. I had high ambitions to disrupt the cycle. I was part of the liberation movement, with brothers and sisters who yearn for the same. When you're at that stage, the cycle feels like a prison. The hardship you face feels unnecessary, forced upon you by those you deem cruel. That which gives you shade, you mark as an enemy. Opportunity eventually came. Valiants came to recruit, looking for hard-working soldiers. I rose to the occasion. My peers were overjoyed, a believer of liberation among the ranks of those with uniform. I had aspirations to be their savior. Looking down from my quarters up in the exosphere, down at the angry men and women holding up signs too far away to read, lighting fires among their own homes and livelihoods, I fail to surrender to them my empathy. I should have been more grateful at the time, to be part of the order of things. This machine that I am a cog of is a practical thing. It provides and it protects, for the universe has greater evils that the Valiance keeps at bay. It is necessary, and so are the conditions that can push men like me to aspire to be in my position. The young men who will try to tear this globe away from the sky will climb their way up and see that from this height, the chaos makes sense.
All right. So, a really solid story here. I do like how it starts off with these musings on civilization and Earth and people, and then it sort of trickles down into a lot more of physical details about how this character specifically feels about this, and I do like how towards the end we are getting a lot more of world building about the the Valiant's exosphere, which it sounds awesome. It definitely sounds like something that I've heard from a Gundam. But yeah, then we sort of get the sense that this poor person has been appointed to be part of this larger machine that is protecting the Earth and its people from other evils that are out there in the cosmos. So yeah, I think that this paints a really nice picture of this character that's riddled with duty, but also seems to have the time or the mental strength to really muse about people and its existence. And even though they are looking down on them as as we would in a anthill, look down on a anthill, we do get a sense that there is still some sort of wanderlust in their eye. That even though they've already made up their mind about how humans are, they seem to love the idea or the concept of being able to protect them, which I think is really good, and it does build a sense of complexity within this persona.
That's really interesting. That's not the interpretation of the character that I was taking. I was taking more of like, this is the idealistic young man that wanted to save everyone, and now he's totally sold out. He's totally forgotten what it was really like to be down there. Because otherwise, like, I don't know. I feel like someone like this in this position will never be correct, especially if they don't, like, go down and tell those people. Yeah. And are like, yeah, I was one of y'all, but we're constantly, like, on the verge of death, actually, in the universe. This is, like, Warhammer 40k or whatever. If we don't suffer like this, we will all die. Like, he doesn't seem interested in that. Instead, he's just kind of like, I'm better than these people. I've moved beyond. I rose above them. And, you know, now that I have power, everything that I don't want to, like, I don't want to give up the power that I've gotten. Which, is this nice little, tough little character conflict. And I like the way that it is revealed. We have these wonderings at the beginning, and we have that seed of, like, oh, he's probably like a bad guy at this point. Yeah. But as we go through and they talk about their experience, about how, like, tough everything was and the suffering that they face, we kind of forget it for a moment. We forget the line, I no longer feel kinship with them. That's what maturity does to you. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the whole, like, thesis of this existence being necessity. Yeah. But yeah, we dive into those, the remembrance of rising through the ranks, being part of this sort of resistance kind of idea. And then finally, this sort of reminder, with this sort of shock of, I should have been more grateful at the time to be part of the order of things. Like, no good guy ever says that. That's just, that's just a bad guy thing.
Because honestly, I think that's, like, one of the cool things here is that we have two different readings. Because I see this more so as a person who has lost their path, but at the same time, they're not totally separated from the people that they came from, to where they can wish that they had appreciated their time there. You know, and I don't see this person as a villain, more so as a misguided hero, personally.
I feel like the line,
we're going to use the terminology of hero and villain. This person seems a lot more in the gray.
Well, I guess, but, like, in the way of, like, they can be a protagonist, but, like, what they're doing right now is bad. Like, I fail to surrender them my empathy. So, like, just to break that down, right? The, like, fail to surrender alone, much less the empathy part, is just, like, so this person views, like, caring about other people as
a sacrifice,
like, as surrendering, as giving up, as not fighting, and it's clearly, that's not that's not how you should treat empathy, right? He clearly is just, like, guarding it because, if he does give them his empathy, then maybe he's actually gonna feel bad about what he's doing and supporting and everything.
True.
But just on a different sort of note, so NoGoodBi talks about how, in a comment saying that they wrote it while they were angry, and it kept them writing in that for a bit, which I think is really cool. So I've recently, we talked about it before in the podcast a couple times about, like, letting yourself feel emotions while you're writing. Yeah. I mean, my best stories have been, like, stuff that made me cry while I was writing it, right? It's pretty rare, but when it happens, it's really, really good. I think a lot of what we do, I've mentioned this a bunch of times before. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but or at least what I do, is when I write a story and I start feeling these emotions, I often, without even thinking about it, like shy away from that, right? I don't write the saddest thing possible. I write something that's sad, sure, but not something that's going to bring me to tears. Where sometimes like I can tell what would, really push me into tragedy, right? And I don't do it because I'm afraid of those emotions. But so, and I think anger is another thing where I've felt afraid of anger for a long time. I didn't want to exercise it because it's just like it causes hurt all the time. But it's also a great motivator, and there's just often good reasons to be angry. And like you could also be angry at things that can't be hurt, right? If you just get angry at existence for being unfair, then maybe you will be motivated to fix existence, you just can't take it out on other people unfairly, right? That's a different question than don't be angry. So, if you feel this sort of like righteous indignation or whatever, it can help to, translate that into a bit of writing. Maybe don't do a direct response to whatever's making you angry, or maybe do, or maybe, analogize it like NoGoodBi is doing here. I think NoGoodBi, I'm reading to this, and NoGoodBi, please feel free to correct me. But I'm guessing that they wrote this perspective angry at this perspective, and yet like translated that anger into the character's disdain for the people. Like NoGoodBi is angry at this perspective and uses that anger to sort of put themselves into that perspective, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. And definitely, I mean, like the greatest strength about great writing is that it's not only about the emotion that it can inflict on someone else, which, that's the purpose of this, right? To build that sense of catharsis within our readers, while also telling a great story with good characters. But I think, again, it's the most important part of it is that the emotions that one has going into it is the fuel for the fire. Now, yes, you could definitely write something great without feeling the same sadness or the anger or the despair that the character is feeling. But being able to feel that and then translate that into your writing gives it a more grounded feel. It gives it, it makes it feel like it's not fluff, that there is importance to everything that is happening, because in the mind's eye of the person that was reading it, this was a important moment to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Something that I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I think it's still relevant because I'm still sort of wrestling with it myself. Is just that for me personally, there's a lot of stuff that I do think about a lot. About the world, or how I deal with how I interact with other people. What my struggles are, the bad things that happen to me, and how I reconcile them with reality, right? And I don't really write about those very often, because I think I'm just it feels too personal, but not in the way of like I don't want to reveal that personal side of myself, but too personal as in like this is so me showing off myself, like, ooh, I wonder about this, it feels very pretentious.
Oh, I see. It seems like it's very self-gratifying.
Right. And like, I know, especially because I know that my perspective, like, I had a tough breakup, like last year, which tough breakup does not really actually carry across what happened, but that's fine. And it was, pretty bad and unhealthy, and so I have a bunch of feelings and thoughts about it, but I also am like, yeah, but these feelings and thoughts are just my perspective, right? Like it feels like almost, I don't know, like I'm just fluffing up my own ego way too much by writing a story about how my perspective is right, I get that. So obviously you should balance that with like other perspective and things, but I think that's also hard. But regardless, I think you should allow yourself to write that thing that's unabashedly from your perspective, that's biased in to the favor of what what your thoughts are, and let yourself be pretentious, because sometimes, like, I mean, that's the thing you think about. That's the thing when they say write what you know. That's the thing that you really well.
Mm-hmm. And then also,
you've got emotions, and it's important to you.
Yeah, I mean, also on that same token, like, even though the writing is quote unquote biased, so, even though it is sort of steeped in your own perspective, I can see that as a way to understand why you feel that way, even more so, because you are putting it down on a page to where it is distant from yourself, to where, like, let's say I wrote about a bad breakup, which is the first thing that comes to mind. I remember after my last breakup in high school, I started writing. I was writing poems, I was writing plays, I was writing stories, and I realized how in all of those pieces they were so one-sided and biased, but I also came to realize just like the complexity of how I felt within those moments, because at first I thought I was just angry, but the truth of the matter is that I was angry, but I was mostly sad and I was hurt, and I was sad and I was hurt because I still had feelings for this person, and that was only something that I really realized after writing down like 1,000 words, or 1,000 pages of random writings, is that I sort of saw that as a way to get out all the initial feelings and the initial reactions, so I can get
see what's
to the
behind
root of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great therapy.
That makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you for inspiring this train of thought, NoGoodBi, and I hope it's at least somewhat reflective of your experience. My point for all of this is, if you feel angry about something, maybe write about it. Let yourself be angry, because sometimes it's valid and it's a good motivator. And even if it is negative, even if it's like, even if it's like bad, right? Even if it's like from a bad perspective, like that you're wrong, but you're still mad because you feel like you should be mad. Still use that. Still do it. Who cares? Like, you're writing a story. And sometimes it's good to write a character who's wrong, like this character in the story. So,
yep. Well, all right. I think it's high time to move on into our listener submitted story section. Thanks again to NoGoodBi for submitting your story. So the stories we will be reading this week are by. Hold on. They're by Matt Set Words, Ghost Pac-Man 4, Sarah Penguin, Jarby Jazz, and Sentient Pebble. And the first story up for this week is by Matt Set Words with 5, Room 313.
So this is a continuation of that series of stories with the hard of hearing man Travis in that hotel with the haunted room. And now he's met Scott, who is also a ghost hunter. And in this scene, basically the two of them get into the hotel room. We set up a little bit with this sort of like the room 313 has like this golden plaque, whereas all the other ones have a plastic one, because and Scott like speculates it's not an original thing, it's just to make people interested in this haunted thing, and to sort of spread the story. It's there on purpose. But they get there, they settle in, they put up all these cameras, and Travis goes to sleep. And at the very end, we get this sort of little scene and setup where Travis is sleeping. We start off sort of in a dream. He hears the voice of his wife just like talking to him, and then pretty much instantaneously we transition using like the words of his wife into the words of Scott, the other person. As Scott's received a letter that says, Travis, from the owner of the establishment, that says, Travis, please be careful, mind your mind, and maybe you can save them. Maybe your gift is enough.
Okay.
So spooky setup.
Yeah, and this is definitely the setup for the moment that we've really been waiting for within this story ever since we were introduced to this room. And I really do like the route that this story has taken so far, is that it didn't immediately jump into the spooky room. It really did take the time to not only fill out Travis's intentions, but also Scott's. And now both of these these two characters that we've come to know pretty well are about to embark on I'm guessing the ending of this spooky adventure. So yeah, honestly, I'm just looking forward to how this story ends. I think this issue specifically, just definitely really works on giving us that setup, giving us the giving us the details of this room, so that in the next part we will start off grounded, even when we do go into the supernatural realm. So overall, I just really dug this one.
Yeah, Matt Sidworth says, also just barely made the deadline, Matt. I'm very glad that you submitted your story on time, but it was about 20 minutes before we started recording. So I'm glad that it worked out. Which is, they apologize in the comment, but you don't have to do that, and just a warning, basically. But says that they wanted to get to the spooky bits for Halloween, but they weren't quite able to get to it, which is totally fine. In fact, Matt, I did the same thing, except I didn't finish my story. So let's just both do our spooky stories for next week, the first week of November.
Yeah.
I mean, this prompt is coming out on Halloween, so it's kind of like it's the Halloween prompt. So it kind of works out.
It does. It still does.
Sure.
Well, right.
But okay, who's the next story?
Yes, up next is by Ghost Pac-Man 4 with Guardian Part 2.
So this is that story that we had in the last section with this girl in this sort of metallic technological cave system, and she was following this robot called Beak. And this time we are in its perspective, this robot, as it sort of flips out about this child and how it hasn't and it really is not our expectations, right? We expected to go through our through the tropes of, oh, it's here to protect the child and it's going to learn about her and they're going to be like besties, right? No, it's the complete opposite. And actually, I feel like this is kind of new. I haven't seen a thing like this where Beak notices this child and notices that that Beak has not tried to attack this child and is really confused as why it hasn't done that. Is something hacking it, basically. And so, we get the sense that it's basically made to kill humans or defend other robots from humans or something. And so it tries to kill the child. And first, tries to punch it or punch her, and we get this understanding that she's surrounded by some sort of force field that is extremely powerful in various ways. It deflects things, or it does something else to fight back, basically. And it has a bunch of countermeasures, which is really interesting because we have no idea why this girl has so many defenses, considering she was so confused and was running away from the other scary life forms in the cave system. But yeah, he just totally tries to kill her, and in the process she kind of disappears into the cave system, and we end with Beak vowing to try to basically to hunt her down in order to protect the others from this human.
Yeah. So this is a really interesting development within this story. After the first part, I really thought it was just going to be this this dynamic duo traveling through this foreign world. But now it seems that there's a lot more going on here. That this girl seemingly has some sort of power that she has no clue how she got it. And that that Beak is just definitely murderous. But it does raise questions as to why it seemed to be protecting her, even though I think it states that she's been attracting these monsters. So yeah, this section just definitely raises a lot of questions that I'm guessing is going to be answered in a part 3 or a part 4. But I mean, overall, this section is definitely a really great turn in this story, and I'm really interested to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I really like just how the trope is reversed and flipped. I really don't think I've seen this particular series of flips in that trope, right? Like robot's actually good, except it just like didn't know, except actually it is bad, except it also is good, but it really is trying to kill her. And like the first punch that it throws, like I thought it was just like testing it, right? It's like, oh, that's a bit aggressive, but like, you know, he's just trying to figure it out. Oh, he discovered the force field. Oh, he's trying to actually kill her. He's trying to destroy the defenses and kill her. I was like, oh shit. So that was a cool series of flipping our expectations.
Yeah, definitely. But thank you very much to Ghost Pac-Man 4. And up next is by Sarah Penguin with Blood That Ties, Part 2.
So this is also a sequel to, in the last one, there was this temple, all these villagers took shelter in, and then these two priestesses who were in the perspective of pray to their leech goddess and receive a scythe, or a sickle. And in this one we found out, that one of them has used the sickle to just slaughter all the villagers. We thought that it was going to be used to defend them, but no, just to harvest their blood before they die anyway, basically, which is pretty fucked up. And the two priestesses, Fatima and what's the other one's name? Ilyana, have like a pretty upsetting argument, and about how, you know, all these villagers were like really nice and now they're all dead, and Ilyana says that it's totally just the fault of the people that came here to kill them, and Fatima doesn't really agree and is just upset that they've carried this out. And then at the end, the holy warriors throw in barrels of whale oil to set the temple alight, and they decide that they gotta go. Or otherwise get enough blood to use all the blood that they just spilled to get them enough power to make it out of there.
Yeah. So I think that this story has some really great action happening. I think the description here really keeps us grounded, especially when we are working with these like otherworldly items and like them having to sap the blood from people. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And yeah, the burning of, I guess, their holy place by these holy knights was kind of unexpected. You know, I thought that they would be able to beat them back, because they were set up to be pretty powerful in the first one. So I do like how it seems that their adversary actually has like power behind them, actually has a sort of like a sort of like agency, and aren't just like default bad guys in a sense. You know, they're
not stormtroopers.
Yeah, exactly. There seems to be a bit more there, which I really do like. And yeah, it seems that this is another story that is going to continue on to a third or a fourth part, and I'm excited to see what ends up between these two. Yeah.
So Sarah Penguin says in the comment, any plot holes or inconsistencies will be blamed on still exploring how I want this world to be, and that is my excuse I'm sticking to. I think that is more than valid, Sarah Penguin. Hell yeah. Just do that. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you were to do a book, you would just go back and fix things. You don't have to... I don't think there was any inconsistencies that I saw, but if there was, like, it's no big deal. I mean, just retcon it in the future, basically. Yeah. And they also say that they... worked really hard to stay in the same scene, and I think Sarah Penguin absolutely succeeded in, slowing down that pace, and I think you did a really great job of staying in that argument, right? Not only are they in that temple, not going anywhere, but most of, 75% of the scene is them having this argument over how they feel about killing all this temple full of villagers.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really good. For one thing, there is something on the like prose level that I noticed that I think is worth talking about. That there was a couple of times where I felt that there was some distance between like a statement and how it would be read. I know that's really vague. So for an example, let me find it. So I suppose it is more of a question of ordering. So I have two examples. So right at the beginning, there is the Fatima sees Ilyana, and it says Ilyana was holding the divine blessed scythe, which just moments later started to crumble and turn into dust. So we have this image of her holding the scythe, right? And then there's the which just moments later. So that's sort of like, it says that scythe that you were looking at, it has the property of starting to crumble and turn to dust. Instead of, I think something that would flow better, I'm not doing a great job of explaining the why of it, but I think it would sound better if it was like, she was holding the divine blessed scythe. Moments later, it started to crumble and turn into dust, right? Because I think the witch, basically, the way that we read the word witch, it means the thing that you just read a second ago, here's a fact about it that was already like a property of it, right? Mm-hmm. We basically sort of go back in time in our understanding of the object, and this crumbling to dust happens after we see this thing. So I think the chronology of it gets sort of muddled when it's sort of being flipped like that. So I think a lot of times just going in order and setting, like, have the image of the scythe and then have a different action, it started to crumble. Or say she was holding the divine blessed scythe, which was already crumbling, right? Did you see am I making sense, Travis, or am I just talking about my own ass?
You are making perfect sense based off of the sin tactical choice within that section. It does. It is a bit confusing as to what exactly is crumbling. Which, I mean, really, that's just like, I think it could be solved as easy as adding like a M dash or a comma. Just to show a separation between getting the scythe, getting it ready, and then the crumbling. But yeah, I would say that's just something that I would recommend for this, is just looking back over it on a sentence by sentence basis, and making sure that your prose are conveying exactly what you want to get across.
Yeah. Just for one more example, so that, I'm not just being confusing. There's like a bit of dialogue later, which is the part where Fatima is yelling back at Ilyana about how she wasn't just, a fancy princess. Her life is actually really hard. The Duke found out I might not be his. I got disinherited. I got branded a bloodless, and then a literal molten metal burned my skin, and it really hurt. So don't give me the nice life bullshit. Fatima screamed the last word. And I think this is great. I like this, reveal what's going on. The one thing is, so the last line, right? It says Fatima screamed the last word, and that was the first understanding I had that all of this should be screamed, right? And I don't need that, like, right at the beginning. I don't need that to start off with Fatima screamed, I was set to be married off, right? But as we are getting close to the end of this paragraph of dialogue, maybe consider, like, putting a little break in it, right? Put an end quote, put a comma, end quote, saying Fatima was screaming now, or Fatima was breathing really hard, or some sort of indication of, like, the strength of the emotion here. Or you could also use exclamation points. That's also an option. But I find visual things to often work better than exclamation points. But so that when you have the Fatima scream the last word, we already have like a sense of how it's being said. And so those were the little things that I thought could be fixed, and go forward with it. I think that it's really, really great that you stuck into the same scene. I really like this interpersonal conflict that they're having. I like the line, or this concept of Ileana sort of making Fatima angry on purpose. Better to be pissed off than crying over a few dead peasants. It's more useful that way. I think it's an interesting sentiment that's being said there. It's sort of like Ileana maybe cares a little bit, but also doesn't. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But thank you very much to Sarah Penguin for submitting this story. And up next is by Jarby Jass with A Different Perspective.
Part 1. Although this is part of that series with the Fleshcrafters and such. But we don't know that when we start off. We have a character looking at themselves. They're covered in these stitches that really, really hurt. And of course that brings to mind like Frankenstein ideas to us because it's Halloween. So, and they are basically in like a mad scientist lab is what it feels like. And their mouth is dry. And otherwise they're suffering in a lot of ways, but they finally get themselves out of the, off the table and, are asking who did this to me, right? When finally the person that did this to them, arrives, and we see that it is, Esty from the previous entries, although the name is not revealed until the very end, really. And she reveals that, this character doesn't have any memories, and that the night before that they were just a corpse and they were not alive, but now they are. And so they offer work with me, and I'll tell you some stuff, and we can find out about your past, and we can figure some stuff out. And this is very much like seems like a darker side to our lovely main character Esty.
Yeah, definitely. But I really do love the lead into this. There's a lot of great description that borders on body horror. I know there was a moment when they talked about the pus coming from the stitches, and my skin just started to crawl. But then a lot of questions were raised by this character of like, where are they? Why are they here? And they seem to not have any memory, which is just, it's very intriguing. And then when Esty shows up, it's a shock, because this doesn't seem like the kind of place Esty would probably be based off of the previous entries. But yeah, this story raises a lot of questions, and I think as the title says, it provides us a different perspective on this sort of Fleshcrafter world that we did get a bit from in other entries of the story being told from the perspective of the Fleshcrafter or the Fleshcrafted. But yeah, this is definitely interesting, and I would love to get a stronger sense of understanding about what's really going on here.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I did notice right at the beginning is we have this description of the stitches, which I was really interested in, but I felt like I still needed a little bit more of like where the stitches were, or how big, or how extensive they were, because we know that there's stitches and that they hurt, basically. And we know that they're gross looking, basically. The raised blackened stitches. But like, are they running all the way down? Are they crisscrossing? Are they actually really small and fine? I had questions about that, and I think I would have gotten a better picture of what the character looks like with a short description of how many stitches, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But thank you very much to Jarby Jass for submitting your story. And our final story for this week is by Sentient Pebble with Thorns.
Mm-hmm. So here we have this man named Clive has a talk with this otherworldly creature in a suit and tie, right? With this unsettling smile. Classically a deal with the devil, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And Clive has brought 3 broken dreams and an uncertain future, which were pretty... and then each one is described. These horrible things happen to 3 people, or to 4 people, and they are not going to receive any help, because Clive needs to pay this creature. So they've ruined the lives of 4 people, basically. And this creature is going to make that deal. We sort of get the sense that it's sort of like a Fae-like thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Clive and his organization is going to carry out a crusade and needs whatever this weapon is.
Yeah. So this story is really great when it comes to a world building. It does really just throw us in, but I like it when stories do that, when there isn't like a whole lot of lead in, and we do get some really great portraiture of Clive. So we get a strong sense of like who we are looking at, and I think that this back and forth dialogue really does add to the ominous vibes of this deal with this sort of like otherworldly creature. So yeah, overall, I thought that this story was really interesting.
Yeah, I really like the story. I like the mystery that's being set up here. I like the uncomfortableness of this Fae creature. I just like Fae creatures in general. So I really like this story, Sentient Pebble.
Yeah, definitely. Well, all right. Thank you to everyone who did submit a story. It does the heart good to see bountiful stories every week. So, thank you very much to Matt Said Words.
Thank you to Ghost Pac-Man 4.
Thank you to Sarah Penguin.
Thank you to Jarby Jazz.
Thank you, Sentient Pebble.
And thank you, NoGoodBi.
Mm-hmm. And we would also like to say thank you to everyone who did leave comments. So, thank you very much to Sarah Penguin, NoGoodBi, and Jarby Jazz. Thank you so much for leaving comments.
Mm-hmm. It really helps us out a lot, not only in helping yourself out, understanding your own story, but also us just to get a perspective on how it was writing it, and maybe what you struggled with, what you think you did well, and it guides our interpretations of your text too. So
yep, definitely. If you want to be like all of these wonderful writers and submit your story to Do the Right Thing, you can do that by going to Reddit at / Do the Right Thing. All you have to do is sit down for 30 minutes and write a complete short story using 3 or 4 randomly generated words.
If you want to see the words as soon as they come out, the best way to do that would be to follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell at WriteThingCast. You can also send us an email at writethingcast@gmail.com. If you want to see what is, if you want to talk to us.
Yep.
You can also go to the Discord, which is free to join at doofmedia.com/Discord. And so if you're not already on there, please do join. We would love to say hi. Maybe you could join in for one of those writing streams. You could do your own writing stream if you want. Because we're all about freedom like that.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of other stuff going on at Doof Media as well. I remember we've been doing a costume contest as well, so I'm really excited to see what the results of that will be. As people, submitted their costumes. I think they were pale and packed themed. But of course, other Wild Bow works are always encouraged and accepted. If you haven't listened to some of the other podcasts on the network, consider just joining in for an episode. Listen to the first episode of Kingslinger. Maybe just crack that open from your nearest library. I'm very excited. There's more than one. There's a new podcast that's going to be joining soon. I believe it's already been announced that, and I guess I'll have to cut this if not. But of Scott and Elise, they just had a kid this year, and so they're going to be starting a series called Parenting with Pixar, where they go through Pixar movies and try to see what you can learn about parenting from them, which is really exciting. I'm really looking forward to that series. They're also just a delight to listen to, in addition to all of the analysis stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, all right. I think it's high time to roll into next week's words.
All right. Do you want to announce the theme for next month?
Yes. So the theme for next month is going to focus on character voice. Basically, writing your story within the character's voice. Maybe it could be within their head. Just make sure that your prose is colored by
a character's voice.
Yeah, by the main character's voice.
Well, it doesn't have to be the main character.
Or just a character. Yeah.
Add some personality in there that is not your own.
Kind of like the Great Gatsby, within a sense. How the story itself was characterized by Nick's views on Gatsby and his extravagant party and lifestyle.
Yeah, or it could just be like a third person omniscient, just the storyteller's tone. There's a lot of options here, and we'll explore them throughout next month. And you know what? I've decided to apply that to the story I was already writing.
Nice.
So that will be cool.
Mm-hmm. And the words that you will be using for next week are diamond, misplace, glove, and salmon.
Okay. That's an interesting set.
The fish.
The fish. Is it salmon or salmon?
Honestly, I think it's purely like from where you're from. But I've heard salmon more. But I've also heard salmon a lot from like my family. So
I'm pretty sure it's Simone.
Simone.
So the first one is diamond, which is the precious rock that is known to be the most valuable kind of stone in the world, except actually it's really not.
Yeah.
And it's
not that durable
actually really
either.
easy to produce, and the De Beers company has gotten so much money because of it.
Yeah.
But it's also known for being a very tough material. It's very hard to break. It's made of compressed carbon. Something can shine like a diamond because they sparkle so well, and because Rihanna did a song about that.
Shine like a diamond.
What?
That was the hook from the song.
Okay. I just heard kind of like a ring part,
Yep,
and it was really good. Anything else?
No, I think that's it for diamond.
Okay. Misplace is when something is placed in the wrong place. I said place too many times. So if you forget something, you might have misplaced it.
Yes.
Or their name could be misplace, even though that's an extra S. Missed. I don't know. The next one is glove, which is the thing that you wear on your hands to protect from the cold, usually, or from gripping,
or also just for drip.
Just for drip, just for fanciness. Just get those satin gloves. There's a saying that something fits like a glove because gloves, because they are fitted to each of your fingers, kind of have to be form-fitting and close-fitting. So if something fits like a glove, that means it fits really well.
If the glove don't fit, you must quit.
Right? An ancient American maxim.
Yes.
So what are some other glove meanings?
A love glove is a condom.
Oh, wow. The Hamburger Helper mascot is a glove for some reason. There's
a really great game from the N64 named Glover.
That's right. You could do Glover. Or what if it's Glove?
Ooh,
what's a glove?
Glove, it's like a glove, but it's made out of 4-leaf clovers.
Oh, I was going to say like globes. So it's a glove, but on each end of the fingers is like a little planet.
Ooh, okay, I see that.
You can also, there's a baseball term apparently. I just did a Google. To glove, the verb, is to catch, deflect, or touch a ball with one's glove. Oh. So, yeah, to catch it in the game. The gloves are off. Take the gloves off is when you're like really gonna fuck someone up in the punching game existence. All right, the last one is salmon, which is a kind of fish that is, I think it's American, right? I'm not entirely sure.
I don't.
It's freshwater though,
Yeah,
right?
it is a freshwater fish. I don't know where it originated. Also, salmon is a color that's just a pinkish color, an off pink,
pinkish orange. Yeah. Actually, isn't it? Oh, apparently it's related to trout, but isn't it like also it's like a sea/freshwater fish? I'm doing a Wikipedia real quick.
Yeah.
It's just taking forever to load.
Uh-huh.
Yes. They are anadromous. They hatch in freshwater, migrate to the ocean, then return to freshwater to reproduce. That's where they lay their eggs.
Oh, okay.
And they hop up the rivers and stuff. And that's how bears catch them.
Yes.
And it's great.
The diamond bear. Cool. So,
and you can farm them.
Alex, tell me, what is your quick 10-word story you're going to write next week?
I'm going to write about a person who was very upset because they misplaced their diamond-encrusted, salmon-colored, no, just salmon gloves. They're gloves that are made from salmon scales, which I feel like would fall apart really easy, but it doesn't because of the diamond.
Oh.
And they misplaced it, and so they executed all of their servants because obviously one of them stole it and they wouldn't admit it. And then they found it under their pillow because they went to sleep with it.
Wow. That's pretty disappointing. Misplacing your glove like that.
Yeah, and so they threw themselves off the fourth story balcony of their mansion because it was so bad what they just did.
They just killed themselves. Wow.
Or maybe it was a murder. Who knows?
Ooh,
find out next week. What's your story?
Oh yeah, so my story is going to be about a salmon man. He's a man that's he looks like a normal person, like through and through. But
right.
If you were to cut his skin and like look in, it's just salmon all the way through. So yeah.
Wait, what do you like, scales or the color?
No, just like salmon meat, just all the way through.
Like in his throat?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Like,
wow.
Yeah. And his bones are just like strong salmon. But basically this...
Wait. I'm sorry. The world you're building here. So are his bones salmon shaped?
No,
Does he have salmon shaped bones?
No, it's made out of salmon meat.
Okay, because I was picturing like a salmon-shaped bone, like a forearm, and it just kind of like flexes its tail, and it's sort of just like flopping around in there, and that's what makes him move. I'm picturing like a mech made out of salmon.
Oh, a salmon mech. Okay. Well, in my story, my guy gets a mech, and and it's a diamond mech. But he doesn't really use it that often. Mostly he likes to wear a lot of gloves because the only issue is that his fingers smell like old fish because he is, an old fish. But on this choice day, he misplaces his gloves and then he goes into work and he reeks so horribly that he gets fired from his job. And now he's
what did he do?
On unemployment.
Did he have to return the mech?
He bought the mech in full, so he should be fine. But he doesn't have enough money for the fuel, so
right. So he can't earn a living with it.
Yeah, no,
it just mech
it just kind of like sits there.
That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, sadly.
Someone should do the right thing and start a GoFundMe for this poor salmon man. What would it be like to kiss Salmon Man? Would it be like kissing
it would be like kissing your
a dead fish?
Yeah, it would be like kissing your sushi.
Kissing your sushi. I do that every time. I thank it. I give it a loving caress with the lips and the tongue. And I wish it well on its journey as I swallow it in one big gulp.